Chapter 2. In many ways, critical thinking is about your ability to actively, deliberately, and self-reflectively in an ongoing way be able to identify the assumptions and beliefs of others as well as yourself through your use of cognitive skills. So let's talk a little bit more about that. First up, let's discuss intellectual resources. Intellectual resources are deeply tied to critical thinking. When you are thinking critically, you are determining which of these intellectual resources to draw upon and how to apply them to the current situation, task, or problem. These intellectual resources include, but aren't necessarily limited to, background knowledge. This is general background knowledge about the situation, topic, or problem. Operational knowledge. What do you know about how to approach a topic? What do you know about how to think well, how to problem solve? Then there's more specific forms of knowledge of key critical concepts that relate to that topic, that issue, that problem to be solved. So not the general background knowledge, but more in-depth, specific information. Heuristics is the term used to encapsulate the strategies and procedures that you can use, that you can choose from to solve a problem or approach a situation. And then finally, habits of mind. There are many habits of mind that characterize a solid critical thinker, and drawing upon and cultivating those habits of mind are one intellectual resource that you can use to approach a topic or problem. So speaking of habits of mind, which habits of mind from Chapter 2 best describes you? I know, she's asking me a question. I just want to get the information and take the quiz. But really, think about it. Which of those habits of mind best describes you right now? Would you say that's changed at all in the 2 weeks since you started this course? I want you to think about and ask yourself this question again at the end of the quarter, at the end of the course. And I want you specifically to think about what has changed. I know the screen in front of you says, has anything changed? But realistically, just the process of learning more about thinking critically and the process of practicing critical thinking and practicing self-awareness of your thinking will fundamentally change your thinking, and it can have an impact on your habits of mind. For example, I've been teaching this class for several years, and each time I do, I find that it improves my critical thinking and it deepens my metacognition. Speaking of which, let's learn a little bit more about what critical thinking is. I'm going to put the link to this video in the description below, and it should also be available for you in your Moodle course room. Watch this quick video about critical thinking before you take your quiz this week. Georgia Military College's definition of critical thinking is, and I'm going to read this word for word even though it's kind of boring, but this is the official definition: active, self-reflective, and deliberate attempt to utilize cognitive skills to support decision-making, problem-solving, or mastery of concepts through various contexts. In other words, critical thinking is an active and self-reflective process that you can apply to all of your decision making inside the classroom and out, that you can apply to problem solving, whether you're problem solving how to select your next phone, or you're problem solving how to register for the next quarter, or you're problem solving on an exam. And these skills can also be applied to help you master new concepts, whether you are learning how to play a musical instrument in your free time, or you are trying to master the concepts in your biology course. So critical thinking can be applied across many different contexts, not just within the confines of this PER 201 course. So now let's talk about metacognition, which I've hinted at already. Metacognition is important because it is at the foundation of critical thinking. Metacognition is essentially thinking about your own thinking. That's the meta part, right? Is we are thinking about our thinking, not thinking about someone else's thinking. That sometimes is a whole lot easier, but thinking about our own thinking skills and our own thinking processes. How did we get to that decision? How did we get to that conclusion? What skills did we use? What skills could we use in the future? Would we change anything knowing what we know now? All of these types of questions are things that are involved in the metacognitive process. And metacognition is an important part of the Quality Enhancement Plan at GMC. So what is the Quality Enhancement Plan, or QEP? The Quality Enhancement Plan for Georgia Military College is based on critical thinking. The bright idea is what we like to call it, because IDEA is a good acronym. That's a heuristic. That's a tool we can use to help master a concept or retain information. Putting these words in this order to spell out the word idea helps us remember inference, induction, deduction, evaluation, and analysis. These are not necessarily the only important critical thinking reasoning skills, and they're not necessarily listed in order of importance, but in this order, they spell the word idea, and that helps us remember inference, induction, deduction, evaluation, and analysis. Metacognition is also an important critical thinking skill. We need to think about our thinking about how we do these 5 reasoning skills is important as well. For more information about the Quality Enhancement Plan and how we approach critical thinking, follow this link here, and I'll be posting it in the description box below. Now let's talk about the connection between critical thinking and ethical behavior. Critical thinking a lot of times can feel kind of cold or sterile with its emphasis on logic, but in the real world, it is important that when we apply our critical thinking to solve a problem, that we are still behaving ethically. And that's especially important for us here at Georgia Military College because such a big part of our mission is character development. So, how do you connect critical thinking and ethical decision making? Well, it really boils down to constantly asking yourself, how does this impact others? What are the consequences of this choice, this decision, this conclusion? Who is impacted by this? And is it going to impact them in an ethical way? So we encourage you to improve your critical thinking skills, but also to do that in an ethical way, constantly considering the impact on others. So now let's talk about how this lesson and this week applies to the critical thinking essay. You already know that you'll be working on a critical thinking essay based on a real-world issue for this course, and that involves researching both sides of the issue using articles you can find in the GMC Library's Opposing Viewpoints database. The rubric for how that's going to be assessed is available on the syllabus. This week, your task is to search through the Opposing Viewpoints database and find 3 articles that oppose your stance on the issue. So you're looking for 3 articles that disagree with your conclusion, that disagree with your point of view on the topic. For each article, you need to summarize that article in paragraph form, indicating specifically how it contrasts with your own view on the topic. How does the author disagree? In what ways does the author see things differently? How did they arrive at their conclusions, for example? Those are all some good questions you can answer in your summary. Also, make sure that you are keeping up with your works cited page. It should be in MLA format, and it should include a full citation for each of the 3 articles that you find this week. For more information on how to use the GMC library effectively, I recommend the GMC Library Guides page. The Library Guides page has a section just for PER courses. It has a library guide just for citations in MLA format, and it has a library guide for video tutorials for how to use these databases. So you can find the video tutorial for the Opposing Viewpoints database, for example, and I'll post the link to the library guide in the description below. So that brings us to the sources and the conclusion of this presentation. As a reminder, the links are available below as well as in Moodle, and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.